Chosen one, this message reached you with purpose. God guided you here for a reason. You've walked a path few comprehend, bearing burdens most overlook, and displaying a degree of faith and strength that heaven has acknowledged. This isn't mere encouragement. This is divine affirmation. God is pleased with you, not only for your accomplishments, but for who you stayed true to while enduring trials. This is your time for elevation. Yet before you ascend, you must grasp why. In this message, we're unpacking it in 7 chapters, each unveiling the deeper reasons God is raising you. This isn't just about reward, it's about heaven's recognition. Before we dive in, ensure you like, share, and subscribe, as this message isn't mere content. It's a divine confirmation straight from heaven. Chosen one, this is why God is proud of you and elevating you. It's not a video, it's a spiritual declaration. And if it reached you, it's because God intentionally sent it your way. If your spirit connects with this message, type 77 in the comments now. That number isn't arbitrary. It's a prophetic sign, a sacred code between you and the Most High saying, I'm ready, I'm aligned. I embrace this elevation with humility and purpose. Know this, not everyone will finish watching. Only the truly chosen will feel compelled to stay. Those who do will leave with clarity, divine validation, and deeper insight into why this is their season of elevation. Don't treat this as an ordinary message. This is a living word, a divine mirror, a holy reminder of who you are and why God has chosen to elevate you now. Revisit it whenever your soul needs reminding, as each time another layer will reveal itself. Another truth will unlock, and another spiritual door will open. Let's begin. Chapter 1. You obeyed even in darkness. Chosen one, God is proud because you followed when it made no sense. You had no roadmap. You received no step-by-step guidance. There was no spotlight, no clear confirmation, no applause from others. Often all you had was silence and the persistent sting of uncertainty. Yet you moved. You obeyed. You said yes when everything around you urged delay. You walked blindly but not aimlessly, trusting the voice guiding you even when you couldn't see his hand. Let's be honest. Obedience and clarity is simple. Obedience with agreement and visibility feels safe. But obedience in darkness, that's where true faith resides. That's where the chosen are distinguished from the comfortable. You obeyed not because you saw the destination, but because your spirit recognized the one calling you. You didn't follow steps. You followed his presence. That obedience stirs heaven. When others chose logic, you chose faith. When they waited for proof, you moved on revelation. You didn't seek a flawless plan. You followed a flawless God. You didn't need every answer. You needed one word from him. And when you got it, you acted, even if it meant leaving comfort behind, stepping into isolation, or being misunderstood, mocked, or called foolish. There were moments you could have turned back, times you considered giving up, moments when the pressure felt overwhelming and the path unclear. But something divine within you whispered, keep going. And you did. Not because you were fearless, but because your spirit knew obedience outweighs outcomes. Being in God's will is safer than seeking worldly approval. Many saw you moving and assumed you had it all figured out. They didn't know you stepped forward on faith alone. What seemed like confidence outwardly was often trembling trust inwardly. You didn't always feel strong, but you remained faithful. In the kingdom, faithfulness is strength. Chosen one, God saw every step you took in darkness, every private sacrifice, every quiet yes, every moment you chose to believe despite doubts. That obedience didn't go unnoticed. It's why he's elevating you now. You've shown heaven you don't follow God for blessings. You follow him out of love, trust, and covenant. That heart posture he rewards. You obeyed when it was tough, when you were hurt, when it brought no gain. That obedience planted a powerful seed in the spiritual realm. A seed of steadfast faith, now bearing fruit. This elevation isn't just a blessing, it's a result, the visible outcome of what you sowed in the invisible. God is lifting you because you proved you could walk without seeing, trust without answers, move without validation. Chosen one, your obedience in darkness has earned you promotion in the light. You took no shortcuts, made no compromises, didn't force your moment. You waited, and now heaven isn't just proud, it's responding. Chapter 2. You held firm when God seemed silent. Chosen one, you didn't just pass through seasons. You survived them. Long nights with no answers. Silent mornings when heaven felt distant. You cried out, but only echoes returned. You sought direction, but found stillness. In those moments of God's apparent silence, your faith faced its greatest test. Yet you held on. There were nights you wept, wondering, has God forgotten me? Your life didn't resemble the promise. You saw others blessed while you waited. You watched doors open for those who barely acknowledged God, while you, his faithful one, stood in the hallway. The silence wasn't just quiet, it was painful. It made you question your path, worth, prayers, even your sanity. But even when you couldn't hear him, you believed in him. That's what set you apart. That's what made you chosen. You didn't serve God for his gifts. You served him for who he is. You didn't worship for outcomes. You worshipped from trust's overflow. You prayed when prayers seemed unanswered, praised through pain, stayed when you wanted to flee. Heaven saw it all. That endurance shakes the spiritual realm. If this message resonates deeply in your heart, open up in the comments and share the season you're going through right now. Your story could inspire, encourage, and set someone else free. Take a moment to like others' comments to show your support. Respond to them with words of encouragement. Your words can become a powerful light, a healing balm to soothe their wounds, and a gentle companion on this sacred journey you're walking together. Anyone can trust when the path is clear, or praise when breakthroughs come quickly. But it takes a rooted soul to stand in silence and say, God, I still trust you. You weren't walking by sight, but by spiritual memory, covenant. A bond deeper than emotion, stronger than circumstance. You didn't always feel strong, but your consistency in silence was your strength. Every time you lifted your head instead of quitting, opened your Bible despite a heavy heart, whispered, God, I don't understand, but I believe, you made a statement in the Spirit. I am unshakable. Chosen one, those silent seasons weren't punishment. They were preparation. God watched how you responded without blessings, miracles, or noise. You passed not by perfection, but by staying. Now heaven is moving. God will reward not just your faith, but your faithfulness. How you clung to him when he seemed distant, refused to quit despite reasons to. You thought his silence meant absence, but he was watching you grow, mature, become a vessel he could trust with more. If you could trust him in silence, you won't lose yourself when blessings amplify. If you stayed grounded without applause, you won't grow prideful in the spotlight. If you worshipped in the valley, you'll remain humble on the mountaintop. It wasn't about what you endured, but who you became through it. Now refined by silence, God will speak loudly through miracles, elevation, doors you didn't knock on. The silence you questioned will become the stage for your loudest testimony. Chapter 3. You stayed pure when the world pushed corruption. Chosen one, in an era where compromise is normal and purity mocked as outdated or overly serious, you chose the narrow path. You could have given in, lowered your standards, followed the crowd, numbed your convictions to fit in. But you stood firm. You faced temptation, pressure, ridicule, isolation. People mocked your values, called you too holy, too sensitive, too strict. What they deemed excessive, heaven called set apart. While others chased fame and popularity, you guarded your heart. While the world urged you to loosen up, you strengthened your boundaries. When corruption knocked, you didn't entertain it, you shut the door. You protected not just your body but your soul, refusing seduction by fame, followers, or fleeting pleasure. You weren't chasing attention. You were consecrated, quiet, hidden. You stayed under God's covering, even if it meant missing circles, relationships, or opportunities. Purity isn't just physical, it's your thoughts, motives, intentions. You fought for them all, resisting bitterness, jealousy, or ambition's distortion. You stayed clean, not for human approval, but because God was watching. That discipline is warfare, battling flesh, feelings, and surroundings. Yet you emerged pure, resisting temptation repeatedly, secretly, even when no one would have known if you slipped. You honored God privately, and now he'll honor you publicly. Many think elevation comes from talent, but God promotes based on heart's purity. The higher you rise, the stronger temptation grows. If you can't stay pure on the ground, you won't survive the heights. Your purity is a divine requirement for the level God is taking you to. He needs people who won't compromise for money, voices that can't be bought, leaders whose integrity holds under influence. You've proven you can carry weight without chasing attention, wield authority without arrogance, hold power without losing purity. That's why God is elevating you. The world offered shortcuts, but you took the long, holy road. What God prepares won't just be big, it'll be pure, because you'll worship the giver, not the gift. Chosen one, this isn't about what you avoided, but what you protected, your soul. Calling oil. Now God will pour into you beyond imagination, lifting you because you're clean, ready, trustworthy, pure in a world that tried to corrupt you. Heaven is proud. Chapter 4. You blessed others when you needed blessings. Chosen one, let's be real. There were times your heart was breaking, yet you mended another's. Days when your spirit was drained, yet you became someone's lifeline. You encouraged while discouraged, helped while hurting, supported while battling your own storms. You gave when you had little, financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Sometimes all you had was a kind word and you gave it. Even when your energy was low, mind heavy, heart aching, you showed up for others who didn't know your sacrifices cost. God saw it all. Nothing went unnoticed. Every time you chose compassion over complaint, generosity over bitterness, service over selfishness, heaven recorded it. While people applauded loud performers, God smiled at your quiet obedience. You weren't performing, you were pouring. Even when no one poured back, you didn't stop. That's not weakness, it's spiritual strength, kingdom character. You weren't just doing good. You were sowing seeds, compassion, mercy, love, faith, intercession, planted in hard seasons, dry places, weary moments. Chosen one. You were a well for others while thirsty yourself, light in dark rooms, joy in heavy spaces, peace in chaotic storms. You could have shut down, grown bitter, decided, no one helps me, so I won't help. But you kept giving, loving, showing up. That's why this blessing is different, not random, but a harvest. You're blessed not because you asked, but because you became a blessing. You aligned with heaven's priorities, lifting others selflessly. Now God will lift you immeasurably. Those who saw you as backup will see God back you up. Those who mistook your kindness for weakness will witness your divine reward. If this message resonates deeply in your heart, open up in the comments and share the season you're going through right now. Your story could inspire, encourage, and set someone else free. Take a moment to like others' comments to show your support. Respond to them with words of encouragement. Your words can become a powerful light, a healing balm to soothe their wounds, and a gentle companion on this sacred journey you're walking together. God is repaying you, not just for what you gave, but how you gave, with joy, humility, no strings attached. Luke 6:38 says, "Give, and it will be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, running over." That's your reality now. Blessings will chase you, not because you demanded them, but because you embodied them. You're not just receiving a blessing, you're becoming one. Your presence will shift atmospheres, your words heal, your life testify. You'll enter rooms not just as a person, but as an answer, a light, a divine vessel overflowing because you gave when empty. Chapter 5. You didn't bend to fit in, you stood to stand out. Chosen one, you were never meant to blend in, never wired to follow the crowd. From the start, you were different and you knew it. You tried to fit in, didn't you? Tried to mute your spirit, dim your boldness, soften your light to feel accepted in rooms you didn't belong in. But it never worked. Your calling always stood out. Even when isolation hurt, silence grew loud, or rejection made you question your worth, you didn't bow to conformity. You refused to shrink for others' comfort or trade authenticity for approval. Though you felt out of place, your spirit knew you weren't called to fit in. You were called to lead. You weren't rejected for being wrong, but for being right for the right thing. Your spirit didn't match their system. Your fire didn't fit their box. Your vision was too clear, passion too deep, purity too rare. That threatened those who valued comfort over conviction. They called you too much, too serious, too spiritual, too intense. But you were too chosen to dilute yourself. You didn't let mockery shape your message or loneliness break your loyalty to God. You kept showing up as yourself, even when the world demanded otherwise. It cost you friendships, platforms, opportunities, maybe relationships you thought would last. But you decided, I'd rather lose the world than lose myself. You weren't chasing applause but assignment, not followers but faithfulness. Heaven honors that resolve. God saw you walk away from compromise, turn down misaligned opportunities, cry over feeling unseen, misunderstood, uninvited. Yet you refused to bend, didn't edit your anointing for palatability, didn't hide your calling for convenience, didn't lessen your power for others' comfort. You stood firm, bold, rooted, even when unpopular or uncomfortable. Now God will honor that stand, elevating the identity others told you to change. The oil they didn't understand will bring breakthrough to nations. What they shamed, God will showcase. By refusing to blend in, you positioned yourself to stand out. Chosen one, you weren't called to follow the crowd but to lead it. Not to echo culture but to shift it. You don't need to explain your difference anymore. Just walk in who God created you to be. This elevation comes through authenticity, not imitation. Chapter 6. You kept faith when facts looked bleak. Chosen one, you've weathered storms that would have overwhelmed others, stood in situations that made no sense, faced facts screaming defeat. The numbers didn't add up, doors didn't open, results didn't match your prayers. Everything said, "It's over," urging you to quit. Yet you believed. Your bank account said lack, but you spoke abundance. The doctor said incurable, but you declared healing. Your situation said stuck, but your spirit shouted, "Freedom is coming." That's not delusion or denial, that's faith. Mountain moving, atmosphere shifting, heaven alerting faith. When facts roared, you didn't agree. You refused to let natural reality override spiritual truth. You faced storms and said, "My God is still good." You saw an empty table and said, "My God provides." You stared down delays and said, "My promise lives." That faith terrifies the enemy. Facts can be manipulated, but faith is anchored, unmoved by shifting weather, reports, or reality's demands to surrender. Your faith held, not because life was easy, but because you knew the one who called you. You didn't just believe in God, you believed God. That's deeper, different. Some praise when things make sense, but you praised in the wilderness. Some believe when blessings arrive, but you believed before miracles showed. Some trust when life's controlled, but you trusted amid chaos. Heaven never forgot. When the enemy brought proof of failure, you countered with promises. When circumstances showed evidence of defeat, you responded with scripture. You didn't let the devil's facts outweigh God's faithfulness. While you spoke faith on earth, heaven sent angels. While you declared victory in valleys, the spirit realm shook. True faith doesn't just survive tests. It activates heaven, opens unclosable doors, sets miracles in motion. That's what your faith did. This isn't about what you endured, but what you believed through it. You didn't wait for manifestation to act like it was done. You carried yourself as if it was finished in the spirit. Chapter 7. You stayed humble when you could have boasted. Chosen one, you had every right to defend yourself with evidence, truth, and receipts. But you didn't take the bait, didn't clap back, didn't engage in petty fights. Even when right, you chose silence over strife. When dishonored, you chose dignity. When lied about, excluded, or slandered, you kept peace and let God handle it. That wasn't weakness but wisdom, not passivity but power under control. You took the low road, not from lack of strength but from spiritual maturity. You knew vindication comes not from fleshly battles but from heaven's voice. You could have boasted, bragged, proven everyone wrong when tables turned. Instead, you stayed low, quiet, faithful. You didn't chase the spotlight but waited for God's now. You didn't use wins to shame others but to glorify God. That's why this elevation is unstoppable, rooted not in self-promotion but divine timing. Your private humility prepared you for public honor. You've proven your character is rooted, not rented, your heart submitted, not self-centered. God can trust you with more without changing who you are. You can be lifted without pride, praised without losing posture. Heaven always exalts the humble. It's a spiritual law, unskippable, unbreakable. When you stay low, God lifts you high. When you don't seek thrones, He gives them. When you don't fight for seats, He prepares them before your enemies. Chosen one, you're undeniable proof of this. Your coming promotion won't stem from connections, networks, or manipulation, but from humility. Doors will open not by man's hand, but God's. While others chased image, you pursued integrity. While they sought clout, you built character. While they aimed to be seen, you were shaped. Now, with your heart seen, God will showcase your harvest. You stayed humble when you could have boasted, silent when you could have snapped, gracious when you could have gloated. Thus this elevation will be pure, permanent, powerful.